Top 5 Dark Lord Strongholds in Middle-earth. Several locations in Middle-earth have served as headquarters for the major villains of the Valar and the Children of Ilúvatar. Today we will explore the top 5 strongholds for the forces of Arda. Utumno. As you might expect, much of this list is centered around the Dark Lord Melkor. Thus we begin with the original home of Malice in Utumno. Utumno, also known as Udun, was built by Melkor in 3400 of the years of the Valar when he first returned during the reign of the two lamps, Iluin and Ormal. The light of the lamps did not illuminate a place so far to the north, as Melkor's darkness was strong there. It was a bitterly cold, desolate realm, above ground where the Iron Mountains, or Ered Engrin, stood. But Melkor delved deep under the earth to create a cavernous hellscape, out of the sight of the Valar, who resided still in Middle-earth, in Almaren. Melkor had been defeated before, but thereafter dwelt unseen until the wedding of Tulkas and Nessa. While Tulkas slept, Melkor began the mining of Utumno, and from there the living things of beauty created by the Valar were sickened and corrupted. Thus the Valar knew of his return, but not from whence this devastation came. The destruction of the two lamps sent the Valar away from Almaren, and Melkor continued his reign of terror on the new life formed in the spring of Arda. Utumno was home to various demonic and twisted creatures, such as the Balrogs and Trolls, and would be where Melkor first brought captured elves to corrupt into orcs. The Valar would eventually go to battle for them in the war for sake of the elves during the Years of the Trees. In YT 1099, the Valar finally destroyed the fortress of Utumno in the Battle of the Powers. Melkor was brought back to Aman as a captive, but not before the siege of Utumno had caused many casualties and devastated the continent. Angband. Melkor had established another fortress early on to serve as defense for Utumno, which brings us to the second stronghold on this list, known as Angband, or Iron Prison. Angband was located slightly west of Utumno, also within the Ered Engrin, and was entrusted to the leadership of both Sauron and Gothmog over time, before the Valar's destruction of Utumno. Upon Melkor's return to Middle-earth, however, he would choose Angband as his new fortress of choice, then rising up the 3 volcanic peaks of Thangorodrim. From these hollow points which ran deep into the earth, Melkor could send forth toxic vapors to combat the Noldor. Similar to Utumno, Angband consisted of many underground pits and caverns, allowing some of his servants, such as Sauron and the Balrogs, to escape the wrath of the Valar in the Battle of the Powers. Angband would become a focal point in the wars between Melkor, now referred to as Morgoth, and the Noldor, having escaped there with the stolen Silmarils. The Noldor, led by Feanor and his sons, left Aman in pursuit of him. After the death of Feanor in the Dagor Nuin Gileath, YT 1497, his son Maedhros was deceived by Morgoth, who had offered him a Silmaril, but all he received was the brutal punishment of being chained to the walls of Thangorodrim by his wrists. He would hang there in torment for about 30 years before his rescue by Fingon and Thorondor. During the event known as the Dagor Aglareb, or the Glorious Battle, in First Age 60, Morgoth attempted to crush what he wrongly believed to be an unprepared military of the Noldor. Many hosts of orcs were slain in that battle or driven back into Angband. For the next 400 years, the Noldor laid siege to Morgoth in his capital, thus being named the Siege of Angband, that would last until the Dagor Bragolach, FA 455. Angband would remain Melkor's primary fortress until its destruction, and his defeat in the War of Wrath that concluded the First Age. Mordor. Of all the places where Sauron dwelt, none are as synonymous with his name as Mordor. Mordor, the Black Land, is found east of Gondor, and was where he dwelt longest and most prominently. Sauron fled there early in the Second Age, when he refused to face judgment in Valinor for his crimes in Middle-earth. It was a land that possessed many geological features, including 3 mountain ranges that enclosed the region on all sides but in the east. Many small fortresses were located among these ranges, including Minas Morgul, the former Minas Ithil that was overthrown by the Witch King after Angmar fell in Third Age 1980. It is in the Ephel Duath, the Mountains of Shadow, where Shelob escapes to after the War of Wrath, feeding on men and elves in the region. The Tower of Barad-dûr was erected in the northwest of Mordor. It was destroyed once during the Battle of Dagorlad, but would be completed again over time, serving as Sauron's major headquarters for much of his time in Middle-earth. Although it becomes Sauron's iconic stronghold, it was Melkor that first gave rise to Aman Amarth, or Mount Doom, where the One Ring would be forged. It is a relic of Melkor's evil. The ash from Orodruin, which it also came to be known as, helped enrich the soil in Nurn, the southeastern lands in Mordor, where enslaved men farmed to feed the armies. It explodes in a grand display upon Sauron's return from Dol Guldur in Second Age 2951. In Second Age 3434, Sauron is defeated at Mount Doom during the Battle of Dagorlad. The last alliance of elves and men finally freed the land, and Gondor would control the old and new fortresses of Mordor thereafter. But in Third Age 1634, the Great Plague runs through Middle-earth, and Gondor is forced to abandon the fortresses. Evil beings repopulate the region and allow for Sauron's eventual return. Mordor would fall for the last time in Third Age 3019, as Aragorn and his hosts fought at the Black Gate after the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Frodo and Sam completed their mission of casting the One Ring into the fires of Mount Doom. In that moment, Barad-dûr, the Black Gate, Sauron and his Nazgûl were all destroyed, thus concluding the War of the Ring and the Third Age. Dol Guldur. Dol Guldur was a fortress that played a significant role in Sauron's northern campaign, but it began as an elvish capital within Greenwood the Great. In the northeast of Middle-earth, the Sindarin elves lived under their king, Orofer, in the forested lands of Rhovanion. Their capital was Aman-Lanc, or the Bald Hill, in the southernmost portion of the forest, but it was abandoned by Orofer in the Second Age due to growing resentment for Galadriel, Celeborn, and the dwarves of Khazad-dûm. By Second Age 1100, a dark presence took up residence in the former capital, referred to as the Necromancer, and it spread a shadow across the forest, thereafter renaming the land Mirkwood. The Green Elves migrated further north, and the former Aman-Lanc was now known as Dol Guldur, Hill of Sorcery. Dol Guldur was located in close proximity to Rivendell, Lorien, and the region of the Anduin River, where the One Ring was thought to be. This gave it significant military value for Sauron in the Third Age. If he were able to attack the west of Middle-earth, it would be from Dol Guldur. In Third Age 2063, Gandalf the Grey travelled to the new stronghold, but found nothing, as Sauron had fled to maintain his secrecy. He would not return for another 400 years. Upon Sauron's return, he spent time growing his powers, still searching for the ring. He would come to retrieve another ring, however, in Third Age 2845, when he captured and tortured the dwarven king Thrain, who possessed one. In Third Age 2850, Gandalf returned to Dol Guldur once more to find a dying Thrain, who gifted him the map and key to Erebor. Knowing now for sure that this was the work of the Dark Lord Sauron, Gandalf urges the White Council to attack. But Saruman resists due to his own desire to find the One Ring. He would not agree to an attack until Third Age 2941, having discovered Sauron too looking for the One Ring. This takes place at the same time that Gandalf launches the quest for Erebor, ensuring that Sauron and Smaug are both too distracted to form a possible alliance, the likes of which would surely mean devastation for any benevolent forces in Middle-earth. Sauron fled the attack of the White Council, returning to Mordor in Third Age 2951 to reconstruct Barad-dûr. He sent 3 of the Nazgûl, led by Khamûl, the second lieutenant, back to Dol Guldur to re-establish their influence and host the northern armies. Sauron's forces in Dol Guldur grew over the next several decades and played a part in the War of the Ring, launching several attacks on Lothlorien and Thranduil's realm in the north. He, Galadriel, and Celeborn successfully repel all attempts of invasion. Galadriel and Celeborn decide to attack the fortress, and in a mighty display of power, Galadriel completely destroys it. As Dol Guldur falls, so does Sauron and the One Ring. Carn Dûm. Carn Dûm was a fortress that fell under the rule of the Witch King of Angmar. Formed in Third Age 1300, this setting served as the capital of Angmar, a region in the northern lands of Middle-earth at the northwest extension of the Misty Mountains. It has a brief history relative to many of the other strongholds on this list, or any places in the Tolkien mythology in general. The capital of Carn Dûm served the Witch King in his campaign against Arnor, the lost realm of men in the north. But in Third Age 1974, the descendants of Numenor who fought against Angmar with the help of Elvish forces managed to force the retreat of the Witch King's armies back toward Carn Dûm after conquering several parts of the region. Gondor, Lindon, and Arnor were all involved in the battles with Angmar. In the Witch King's retreat north, he was cut off by Eärnur of Gondor, as well as Glorfindel of Rivendell. He managed to escape death or capture and went on to serve Sauron in future wars, but the rest of his forces were decimated, and no men or orcs remained in those lands thereafter. The fate of Carn Dûm is not completely settled, but is believed to have been destroyed after Angmar's defeat and the Witch King's desertion. The last we hear of it is in the Fellowship of the Ring, when Merry, trapped in a barrow, dreams of being speared in the heart by the men of Carn Dûm. This may have been his reliving of the death of Ostir, the last prince of Cardolan, who may have been placed in that barrow. The dark figures of Middle-earth never remained homeless for long, and their strongholds served as key catalysts for the beautiful and awesome stories we love. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our page for more content concerning the world of Arda and the secrets of the rings.